Have you been bothered by feeling hopeless or depressed about your tinnitus? Living with ringing in your ears takes courage. Whether you've had it for one day or whether you've had it for 5 years, you're watching this video because you know your life can be better than how it is right now with tinnitus. My name is Dr. Ben Thompson. I'm a tinnitus specialist and audiologist in California. This is Pure Tinnitus. I hear from my patient that they went to their doctor, and their doctor, who is either a primary care doctor or an ENT doctor, said, "You have ringing in your ears and it looks like there's nothing we can do for you." Well, what they're really saying is there's no pill or there's no surgery to make your tinnitus go away. At that point, the natural response is to kind of freak out. Well, what do you mean there's nothing I can do? I don't like this. I don't want this here. I'm supposed to live with it? The reality is that so many doctors have never been fully educated about the relationship between the auditory brain and the emotional brain. So when a doctor says there's nothing we can do about it, they're talking about in reference to curing it, giving you a pill, or doing a surgery. And that's true, there's no pill, there's no surgery that gets rid of most kinds of tinnitus. So what can you do? We're here today to focus on what you can do. Tinnitus can cause depression, or it can make depression and anxiety symptoms worse. Now, I know what it's like to live with a permanent health condition, and it sucks. There's a stage of acceptance that we all have to go through, and the first stages are the hardest ones, and there's no definitive amount of time that it takes to go through each stage. The reality is, and it's hard for me to tell you this, that your tinnitus may be there forever. It may not permanently go away back to silence. Learning to accept the reality that tinnitus usually does not go completely away and vanish. Now, what you need to know is within the space between tinnitus will go away and my tinnitus is so bad that I'm depressed and can't live with it, there's so much space and there's so much room. And how you navigate that space will determine the quality of life related to your tinnitus. I see this all the time in my clinic with my patients who come in with bothersome tinnitus, and they describe to us, how they're depressed, they're sad, they don't know what to do with their lives anymore because it's changed so much. And what we see is that during the process of our sessions, we're watching them evolve in their stages of acceptance. And when they reach a point where they can be honest with themselves and say, okay, I know that tinnitus likely isn't gonna go away. Breathe. So what can I do about it? What can I do right here in this moment? What can I do in the next days or weeks to make a positive change to my life that's consistent with my values? Doing that is going to have a big impact on the stress and the possible depression from your tinnitus. That is when the individual takes ownership of what they can't change, accepts it, and learns how to navigate the world with tinnitus, ultimately significantly improving their quality of life because they've committed to that path. So in everyone's mind, there's this process of negative thinking, and it's a powerful process. So if you can start to understand how your own mind has patterns of negative thinking, that's going to be a big step forward on your path of taking control back over your tinnitus. In our hearing system, we get this signal which creates tinnitus, and that's in the auditory brain. That auditory brain is connected to parts of our emotional brain, our limbic system. And you don't need to understand brain science to understand that when the ringing in your ears sends a signal to the emotional brain, the limbic system, the emotional brain creates this heightened response because it doesn't know what it is. It's fear of a stimulus. It's fear of something outside of our own selves coming in our environment. So is that sound something dangerous? No, not really. That sound is just a response from your physical body, a sign for you to pay attention to. What's really powerful is that your emotional brain can send a signal back to your auditory system of, yeah, I don't know what that sound is. We need to amplify it because we really need to pay attention to this. And then that same signal goes back into the emotional brain. Oh, this is much louder now. I'm more stressed about it. I'm feeling upset about this. And that's called a feedback loop. One impacts the other and it gets louder and louder, and you start feeling more and more anxious or uncomfortable with the situation. I strongly encourage you to consider how in your own life this feedback loop system affects either your tinnitus or some other facet of your life that's related to stress, anxiety, or depression. You can consider working with a talk therapist or a wellness coach or a tinnitus specialist like myself if you're looking for more direct guidance on how to live knowing that your emotional brain is connected to your auditory system and what you can do about it. So when you're facing sadness in your life, when you're feeling depressed because you have tinnitus and you wish it would go away but it wouldn't, I want you to take a step back and think about, what control do you have over this situation? Could your direct action improve anything? So think about taking a possible action step, and hopefully you're here to learn how to do that. Think about taking a positive action step, and on one side of the spectrum we have, what could be the best case scenario if I take this change? And on the other side we have, what could be the worst case scenario if I take this change? Well, oftentimes going and trying something to significantly improve for positive change, the worst case scenario isn't much different than where you are right now. Unless we're taking positive changes, we're not going to see the change. Through this journey of tinnitus, you're going to grow a lot and learn a lot about yourself. I'm confident that if you have the motivation to learn about tinnitus, if you have the right guidance to understand how to balance between the emotional brain and the auditory system, and if you can take direct action in your daily life, something that's consistent with your values, that you will see a significant improvement in your tinnitus. I see it all the time with my patients. So I'm here to tell you it's possible. Over the past month, if you've often felt down, sad, or depressed, then I recommend that you consider working with a therapist, a psychologist, or a psychiatrist, because you may have depression and it's something that you can significantly improve with therapy. If you like this video, give us a thumbs up below. You can check out our free newsletter in the info below and subscribe to our channel. That way you won't miss our new videos coming out every single week, and tap that notification bell to stay alerted. My name is Dr. Ben Thompson. This is Pure Tinnitus, and remember to take your journey one step at a time.